Okay, you can come in and check right in here with your last name.
I think the American Burn Association is right over there, the other side.
I'm always feeling for you. Like, I hear the weather, like we're getting 3 inches, you're getting like 6.
Right. It's been
Just stick out there a little
When
bit.
you said grab the rail, grab the commuter rail, it's like, you know what, there's none near us.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
This is a different room. We've been in this room once. You and I were here by ourselves once. We were the only two here of my first year.
I'm excited to be here today to honor outstanding idealists and social capitalists, to discuss how we can connect for community impact, and to support the work of Social Capital, Inc. SCI's work to connect people to support youth successes and create healthy communities really speaks to me personally. SCI's work brings together people to strengthen local neighborhoods. It's all about bringing local communities together. To get us started, I'd like to call up SCI President and Founder David Crowley to share SCI's mission.
It may not be a beautiful spring day outside, though the calendar says it's spring, but I think you'll be inspired today by the folks that'll be up at this podium and agree with me that it is, in fact, a beautiful spring day. So thank you for joining us. We may see the first generation in American history that has a shorter life expectancy and worse health outcomes than their parents. My jaw dropped the first time I came across this quote. The high rates of obesity among children underlie this grim news. And we know this issue hits communities we serve and care about much harder than many other communities. Places like Lynn, where a student we work with, Jaden Pena, tells us that his go-to option for him and his friends is often, they're going for the easy thing, which is things like, I don't know, I just learned about this reading this news clip about this program. Anybody here eat Flamin' Hot Cheetos? They're not very good for you, but apparently very popular among Jaden's peers in Lynn, and there's a 40% obesity rate. That is a troubling statistic, but the next one that's flashed up on the screen gives us some measure of hope. What it tells us is that only 20% of our health outcomes are derived from our genes that we're born with. The other 80%, we can do something about. It comes from our habits and our environment. So there's potential to come together and connect to change our future and create a healthier one. Connecting for change ties in very nicely with the theme for the day. We're talking here today about how do we come together and connect to have greater community impact. And that's right up SCI's alley, because what we're about is connecting citizens to strengthen local communities, developing skills and tools to engage people to make a difference. We have 2 teams of full-time AmeriCorps members. One, focus on youth leadership, working with teens to tackle issues like obesity and other things that they're concerned about in their communities. The other team is focused on leveraging online tools and doing community outreach to go out and recruit volunteers to come in and support the success of young people. For the first 12 years in SCI's history, we've worked with many, many different community issues based on whatever our partners and volunteers wanted to tackle. During recent strategic planning, facilitated ably, I might add, by Eric Curtis, who's in the room. Thank you, Eric. Our board of directors decided that we could have greater impact moving forward by targeting our social capital building on a few of our most pressing issues.
Thank you.
So in addition to continuing our long-standing focus on youth success, we felt there was a great opportunity for us to have a lot of impact by focusing our social capital work on health and wellness as well as youth success. As some of you may know, there's a strong link between social networks and health outcomes. In fact, that link is so strong that Bowling Alone author Robert Putnam tells us that joining one group can cut your odds of dying in the next year by 50%. I know that sounds a little crazy. The bad news to that stat, by the way, for most of us in this room that have already joined probably too many things, that stat only applies to people who are currently not active in anything in their community. So sorry about that. Sorry about the bad news there. But underlying that stat that seems like it was somebody manipulating some numbers in some strange way, there are piles and piles of studies that tell us there is a strong link between social networks and health. This early one from Harvard Med School that showed this link showed that men who are isolated socially as they got older had much worse heart health outcomes than those that were enmeshed in strong networks. So it's one example. More recently, a study came out. They looked at people who were regular volunteers, people who were serving on a regular basis, who were age 50 or above. They actually had a 40% less likelihood of developing high blood pressure if they were regular volunteers than people that were not volunteering. So volunteering is good for you. That's an important takeaway. Yeah, you can clap for that. Volunteering is good for you. Yeah, there you go. I forgot to write that applause line into my script. Thank you for whoever queued that up. So to be healthy, it's very clear we need to be active and connected to folks in our community. But it's more than just being part of networks where there's a link with health. There's also the power of habits to spread through our social networks. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sometimes the habits we spread through our networks are not so good. So if a friend of yours becomes obese, there's a 57% likelihood that you too are going to put on some pounds. So you got to watch out for what your friends are eating. I think this lunch is pretty healthy, you'll find, though, so that's the good news there. This network effect is so powerful that even when a friend of yours whom you have never met, who might live far away from you, even them gaining weight significantly increases the chances that you will gain weight through the social network effect. So we read stuff like this. We're not academics. We're about changing things, improving things at SCI. So we say, how do we tap that information to spread good habits? And there are studies coming out that suggest we can do just that we can spread good habits through our social networks. And so we're interested in how do we do that strategically. At this very luncheon last year, there was somebody here from MGH Healthy Chelsea program, and we partnered up with them shortly after the luncheon to work with their teen group on how they can leverage social media to communicate about the healthy choices that exist at Chelsea High. And they're making some progress, being good role models there, eating their healthy chicken and bananas for lunch. And in Lynn, going back to Jaden and his friends, trying to get them off those flaming hot Cheetos, they are partnering up with our AmeriCorps member base there, Amanda, who's with the Food and Fitness Coalition, who's collaborating with these teens and local corner stores where kids go after school to help make the healthy choices more appealing to teens and more readily available. And the early reports are good. We haven't dropped that obesity rate below 40%. We haven't measured that yet. But an early good sign on that road is that the last time Amanda stopped by the store to check on things, those bananas that you see in the picture were sold out. Hopefully they've been replenished. In addition to thinking about how we take the leadership work we've done to focus on spreading good habits, we also, as I mentioned earlier, have online engagement as a big part of our work. So what we're also doing is looking at how we can leverage our community portal tools to help people find about ways they can get involved in healthy activities in their community and connect with local health resources. So whether it be going on to mydorchester.org to find the local farmers market, or the teams from the Fall River Fitness Challenge, who thankfully made it through the snow here today, they use the website to track their progress and share how they're doing with one another. And in Woburn, the website, you can go on there and find the local YMCA, the activities they have to promote good health. And yeah, you can clap. Clapping is allowed at this event. Thank you. I'm glad we figured that out. And finally, the last example is in Mattapan. You can go to mymattapan.org and find your nearest Zumba class or Zumba class, not Zumba. Sorry. I obviously don't take those classes apparently. So, just to sum up, we are really excited at SCI about harnessing our expertise on building social capital, engaging folks around this key issue of making our communities healthier. We are so excited about the opportunity here that when we did that strategic plan, in addition to the focus, we set some big goals, as one should do when we plan, right? And so one of those goals is to partner with a total of 30 communities in the region over the next 3 years. Building from the 12 we currently work with in order to spread our work of building social capital to create healthy communities. And we look forward to, one of the great things we do at this luncheon, it is a fundraiser, but as much a friend-raiser. So we look forward to connecting with you and engaging with, talking about how we might partner to achieve common goals that we might share. And so we look forward to that conversation and considering the question, how might we connect together for greater community impact? I look forward to that because there's so much potential here. And I would just like to close. I took a little liberty with a quote you probably heard from Margaret Mead. And just with one word change, my parting thought, never doubt that a networked group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thanks.
Stand up if you've supported a friend or a neighbor dealing with a health issue. That's a big group too.
Come on, Marsha.
How about stand up if you've contributed time or money to help young people in the past year? I have a feeling some of you people are just going to stay standing up, right? All right, now stand up if you believe we can make our communities stronger and healthier when we work together. Yeah. Call upon an SCI board member, Wendy Garth-Lip, the Executive Director of United Neighbors of Fall River, to talk about ways you can connect for impact.
Good afternoon. I grew up in a culture of giving. My grandparents and my parents donated a large portion of their income to charity. Although they were not wealthy, not at all, in fact, barely middle class, the act of donating was very much a part of the modus operandi of our family. One of my earliest memories is of my Zeta, my grandfather, reaching into his pocket and handing me 3 shiny pennies. Even at the tender age of 6, I knew that I got to keep only 2, and 1 had to go into the pushka, the charity box. My grandmother kept pushkas all throughout the house, some designated for a particular charity, adorned with words and pictures of famous individuals like Jerry Lewis, and some recycled jars and cans. She even kept a pushka next to the washing machine, filling it with forgotten change we had left in our pockets. Every event in our family's life was an opportunity to give. Before we lit candles welcoming the Sabbath, we put money in the pushka. Every religious holiday had a built-in opportunity to donate. We would get birthday gifts, but we would also get a card from some organization attesting to the fact that a donation had been made in our honor for our birthday, graduation, anniversary, or even a straight A report card. Every life cycle event was marked by giving. Once or twice a year, my grandparents would gather up all the boxes in the house and decide what to do with the money. This usually became a large family event with my grandparents leading the discussion and my parents and various aunts, uncles, and cousins putting in their 2 cents, figuratively and literally. There was lots of arguing, lots of talking, but my Zeta's booming voice, above all else, asking what appeared to be an unrelated question. Can they fish? Every time someone suggested a charity, Zeta's voice would ring out. Can they fish? As a young child, I never asked about the fishing reference. I'm not sure what I thought. Maybe my Zeta wanted to go fishing with the people who ran the charities? It never really made sense. We lived in Brooklyn. Fishing ain't too hot there. Years later, when I was in high school and I got my first job, I went to my Zeta's home for dinner on the day that I received my very first paycheck. Proudly, I displayed my check, basking in the approval of the family, welcoming the newest member to the workforce. My check passed from aunt to uncle to cousin to neighbor and finally ended up in my Zeta's hands. New? How much are you going to put in the pushka? What might have been considered a conversation-stopping question in other families was de rigueur in mine. I looked at the paltry sum and I announced that I would donate 3% of every paycheck. Then came the difficult question, where will you donate? I turned to the family and immediately heard a million suggestions, from cancer prevention organizations to anti-hunger, animal shelters to homeless shelters, political parties to environmental groups. I was overwhelmed with all the suggestions. And just when I thought my head would explode, Zeta said, and don't forget to give it to some place where they fish. Zeta, I said, I don't like to fish. Fish are wet and smelly and too far from Brooklyn. Zeta laughed, and then he explained. All giving is good, no matter how small or how large. All giving is good. But there are ways to give, and there are ways to give. Your 3% can purchase a fish, and you can donate it, and people will have a lovely meal, and that's good. But your 3% can teach someone to fish, thereby ensuring that they will never be hungry again. And that is good. What an epiphany. What a way to decide how to donate. Do they fish? Fast forward to today. I'm still actively engaged in giving. My family and I still donate a percentage of our annual income to various charities and organizations, and we still ask the question, do they fish? My agency, United Neighbors, and Greater Fall River Partners for a Healthier Community have been the proud hosts of an AmeriCorps member for the past 5 years. As I sat with my colleagues last year at the luncheon, I was excited to hear the AmeriCorps speakers talk about the superb work that they are doing. I was impressed with the accomplishments and dreams of this organization, and I volunteered to deepen my commitment by joining the SCI board. As the newest member of the board, I stand before you today asking you to join me and help further our mission. SCI has ambitious plans to grow, to serve 30 communities in the region in the coming years while deepening our impact where we already serve. We need your help to reach our goals. Please consider participating in our hashtag SC Impact campaign. We are looking for involvement as well as financial contributions as we launch Connect for Healthy Communities, our spring initiative. One side of the card on your table indicates opportunities for involvement, ranging from our board of directors to hands-on volunteering. We are eager for you to share your time, your expertise, and your social capital with us. We are also eager to reach our financial goals with your help. We are launching our spring campaign with the goal of raising $20,000. That might seem like a big number, but we've raised more than that in the past at our luncheons. A donation of $1,000 can help us get started in a new community. We have friends here from places like Lawrence and Waltham that would appreciate a jump start to help us get going. A donation of $500 funds mini grants, engaging 100 youth in projects that spread healthy habits. And a donation of $100 provides healthy food for a community program or meeting. So I stand here asking you for your money, but you need to ask me my Zetas question. Do they fish? And I'm here to tell you, not only do they fish, but SCI AmeriCorps supports an entire fleet. Here, through Social Capital Inc., we are developing leaders that demonstrate the leadership abilities by seizing opportunities and making the most of them. In the process, they develop one of the essential characteristics of strong leadership, the ability to articulate a vision and then implement it. We are nurturing strong community-minded individuals, building social capital, and developing chances for people to connect. We are helping young leaders clarify their values, find their issues and themes that speak to them, and enable them to make sustainable changes in their communities. If my experience of the past 5 years tells us anything, it's that our AmeriCorps members move on. They move on with fervor and commitment, the same fervor and commitment that made them excellent members when they worked for us. They bring that understanding of the complex issues of our communities to their next job, their next school, or their next place of work. They continue to build social capital and work for a just and equitable world. They leave us, but they take the values of AmeriCorps with them wherever they might land. They are in essence a corps that is ready to teach someone how to fish. So now's the time to take out your checkbooks or your credit cards and pick up those pledge cards. Now's the time to recognize that we all have the ability and the responsibility to support the program that is helping to repair the world one member at a time. Now is the time to contribute to Social Capital Inc., to support the work we do and will be doing, as we create a sustainable core of leadership ready to move into the future. As my Zeta said, all giving is good, but giving that produces the opportunity for young leaders to be turned on and motivated to work to repair the world, that type of giving is extraordinary. I'm investing my time and my energy with SCI AmeriCorps. And Zeta, I want you to know, they do fish. Thank you.